everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. My name is Amy Gedden and I make Sims videos here on YouTube. In today's video I'm doing a build video, but it's going to be a little different from my previous ones because this video does include a lot of custom content. So I hope you guys enjoy. In this build, I wanted to make a sort of modern industrial vibe apartment. I'm building in 19 Culpeper House. I really like this apartment space because it has a balcony and it's just a good size. It's not crazy big, but it's got enough space for what I was looking for. And I just really like it. One thing that does annoy me about this apartment is that it is a needs TLC apartment. It has that trait and you can't remove that. So it means that it has like mice and cockroaches and the weird odours. So that is slightly frustrating, but if you can get past that, it's a really good space for your sim to live in, I think. I was building this for a sim that I was playing just in my own time. She was going to uni to study fine art, but I wanted to have her just living in an apartment instead of living in the uni halls. So I built her this really cool, like modern industrial one. She studied fine art, as I said, and then I wanted her to become a like kind of fashion designer and YouTuber. So that is what kind of the vibes behind this apartment were. It's a really cool space. It has kind of a lot of tech stuff. There's a little office for her to do her YouTubing in and things, and I am super pleased with how it turned out. In one of my previous videos I got a question asking whereabouts I get a lot of my CC from. The main place I get almost all of my custom content would be the Sims resource. I just go on there and scroll through. My favourite thing, especially for build custom content, is looking at the sets so that I have a lot of stuff that matches. So here you can see I'm using a set for this kitchen, so the worktops, the fridge, the oven, all of that stuff is part of the one set so that it matches really well. Outside of custom content that I get from the Sims resource, in terms of build content, I would get a lot from the actual website of a creator called MXIMS, I believe it is, and also Ravasheen or RVSN. I'll leave both of their accounts linked down below, because a lot of the stuff that I've used in this build, especially like the clutter items and some of like the really realistic looking tech and stuff, is from those creators. One thing that I do a lot when I am building with custom content is that I will include a lot more clutter items than I normally would if I'm just building with the items in the game, because I just really like how realistic it makes it look. When I'm building with custom content, I tend to want a really realistic alpha style look to my builds. So for that reason, I just put a lot of clutter in. I think it just makes the whole thing look a lot more realistic. So you can see there I put a lot of clutter items in the corners of the kitchen counters. I just think it makes it look so much more realistic, and I really enjoy playing in builds that have a lot of clutter and stuff. So here you can see I moved on to the dining room area. I struggled slightly to find a table that I liked, and the reason for that was there were a lot of tables that I did like, but I was trying to get one where the wood tones would match the floor and the kitchen. But in the end I decided that because of the style I was wanting to go for this build, I wasn't going to be able to get all of the wood tones to match. So I decided so long as I can get all kind of reclaimed looking wood, I was happy enough with that. So all of the wood tones in this build are slightly different, but I think it works really well. I decided I wanted to use these grey chairs, and I really would have loved to have a sort of bench or something alongside one side of the table, to have like a bench instead of just seats for the dining table, but I couldn't find any that I thought worked really well for it. So I decided just to go for the little stools at the side and then the kind of bubble style chairs at the end. And then of course I put this big hanging lights over the top. That's one thing that I really love to do if I'm building in the apartments in the city. Because they have such high ceilings, I tend to use really long hanging lights. I was considering putting windows under the kitchen counters, between the counters and the cabinets, but I ended up actually switching it to have them above the cabinets because the ceilings are so high. I was able to do that, and I thought it ended up looking really cool. I really like how it looked. I decided to use a grey sofa in the living area because I had used the grey seats in the dining room and I wanted to kind of pull that through. But I wanted to have a splash of colour in the room, so I decided to go for yellow. So I used some yellow cushions and a rug, that kind of thing, just to give a splash of colour so that the apartment didn't end up being too kind of monochromatic. And I'm super happy with how this place turned out. I really, really love it. Like I said at the start, the sim that I was playing with in this build went to uni. She ended up dating Cameron Fletcher, the guy who was used in a lot of the promo for Discover University, and they actually got married and have kids, so I've moved them out into the old salt house, but I just repurposed a lot of the furniture that they had in here and redecorated the old salt house in that industrial style because I just really liked it. While I was kind of doing this build, I was totally just following along avidly with all of the news about the new Eco Lifestyle Pack. I'm really excited for it. I know a lot of people were quite negative about it when it was first announced. I never really got that. I slightly understand what people were saying about it first when they thought it should have been, aspects of it should have come with island living and stuff, but I don't actually feel that way myself. I think there's a lot of stuff that seems to be new that has come with that pack, and I'm really excited for it. I'm looking forward to getting it and having a go at playing and just making the town all pretty and green. And obviously you can see from this build I love kind of modern and industrial style, so a lot of the items that seem to come with this pack I'm super excited for. I'm working on the bedroom here. I wanted to use some of these hanging kind of Edison bulbs and a lot of exposed brick, just with loads of prints and pictures above the bed. I thought that would be a really cool look, and it was kind of the idea of this bedroom that gave me the inspiration for the entire build. So I came up with the idea for this bedroom first and then decided to build the entire apartment kind of based around how I knew I was going to be decorating the bedroom. So you can see I've still gone with a lot of kind of exposed and reclaimed wood vibes, and then there's the brick. The exposed brick wall that I used here is actually the same as the brick on the outside of this apartment building. The brick that I used as kind of a feature wall in the living area and the backsplash in the kitchen is a different brick. It's like a kind of grungy, worn brick, whereas this one I wanted kind of to look like it was the original brick from the actual building, and that's why I went with the same one as is used in the exterior of the build. One of my absolute favourite things about using build custom content is having loads and loads of cushions and pillows and duvets, because there's not really any pillows within the original game, not that I'm aware of anyway, and I love just putting loads and loads of pillows on beds and sofas and things. I just think it makes it look so much cozier and homier, and it's just really nice to have. So that's one of my favourite things about using custom content, is having all of that, pillows and blankets and throws, just to make your whole place look really cozy. So because I had decided that the sim I wanted to play with was going to be YouTube and stuff, I wanted to give her a good desk space in this main living area, but also having her own office. So out here I used this little alcove by the half wall for the kitchen as a place to have a home office out in the living area. So a lot of this clutter and computer and stuff that you can see is all the MX IMS stuff. They make really, really realistic type CC, which I really love. So you can see here the computer they have is like an Apple Mac computer instead of just one of the generic computers that you get in-game. And it's such a small detail, but for me, I really love that because it does just make it seem so much more realistic and like real life. And I also loved putting little candles all around the build because I myself am super into scented candles, so I think it's really nice giving them to my Sims. And I also put this little blanket over the back of the chair so that when they're working, if they get cold, they can wrap up with a little blanket, and put some nice little lights around their kind of motivational print. Back in the bedroom, I got this set from the RVSN creator. It's like a little pegboard and you customize it yourself by adding whatever you want on it. And they also have a notice board type thing which you can put lots of different postcards on. Again, things like that just make it seem a lot more realistic and like there's actually someone living there, and I just love that. I think it's such a nice idea. Another thing I wanted to do in this build was just put a lot of plants around. I think plants can make a build just look so much nicer and so much more homely. So that's what I did. I have little plants in that pegboard. I have some out in the main living area. I later on add some hanging plants by the bed as well, and I just really like the way it looks. One thing that I couldn't decide upon was what way I wanted to work getting a wardrobe or whatever into this build. This wardrobe that I ended up using in the bedroom was part of the set that I used. I think the set is called Boron. I will double check and link it in the description down below. But I also kind of wanted to use one of those little clothes rails. I thought, especially because I wanted the Sim to be a fashion designer, it's like she could have her own collection on there or something. So I do later on add a clothes rail as well. So you can see here I got the clothes rail, which is kind of like an old, almost like beach driftwood or something hanging from the ceiling. I used that as the rail for their own clothing collection, and I think it looks super cute. I'm really happy with how it turned out. This room off the bedroom I decided to turn into a kind of dressing room meets home office. So it has a little vanity table, and there's also then a computer area and the YouTube recording station I added in at a later time. I can't actually remember if I added that recording station in during this recording or if I added that while I was playing the game myself in this build. I think I maybe added it when I was playing myself, but instead of having this corner desk unit, I added the YouTube station there with then the vanity beside it. I really liked these modular desks. They're again by Ravishing, but I did find it slightly awkward just getting the placement right. I think it's just because it was my first time using this specific custom content, so you had to be quite precise about where you were putting everything. But in the end, I'm super happy with how this room turns out. I think the bedroom and this little kind of dressing room office area are definitely my favourite parts of the build. I add lots of clutter, I add lots of wall art, and I think it just looks really realistic. It's the sort of place that I would love to have in my own house. Having a space like this just to get ready and record videos, do work, it's the dream for me. While I was recording this build, as well as following along with all the eco lifestyle stuff, I was also just listening to a lot of music. And one of the things I ended up listening to a lot was the soundtrack for The Lion King 2, which was so random. I haven't seen that movie in years, but I had forgotten how good the soundtrack for it was, and I actually phoned my sister one day and was like, oh my word, I'm listening to The Lion King 2 soundtrack, it's so good. And we had a little reminisce about how good that soundtrack is. So that's just a weird little anecdote about what I listened to while doing this. So if you have never listened to the Lion King 2 soundtrack, or like me, have heard it before but not in a long time, I highly recommend you go do that because I had forgotten how good it is. Once again, you can see in this room I decided to bring that yellow colour in. When I actually created the sim to play with, I added yellow into a few of her outfits as well. I just kind of liked the idea that she really likes that colour, and like I said in my solid colour challenge video, yellow is my favourite colour, so I do tend to use it quite a lot if I'm looking to add a pop of colour into a room. That's kind of just my default that I go with, is let's add yellow and make it look brighter. But I think it works well. I think it looks really cute, so I'm happy with that. I really like the little hallway area I created here. I never really tend to focus a lot on hallways. I kind of am like, oh, stuff a plant or a chair and it'll be fine. But I actually wanted to put a bit more effort into this one, so you can see I added the little bench along one side and then a little kind of console table with a big mirror and an umbrella stand, and I think it's really, really nice. So I definitely want to try and start putting a bit more effort into my hallways in future, because doing this build kind of made me realize that I don't put enough effort into them, and I really should. Another thing I did was, because I wanted to kind of embrace that industrial loft type look, I added these big kind of exposed metal pillars and also put a window in above the half wall, splitting the office area and the kitchen. It's just a window that I used the Move Objects cheat to raise up, and I think it looks really, really nice because it does definitely make the place look more like an industrial loft like I was going for. I then moved out to the balcony to decorate it. I put some plant pots out and then a little exposed fire, one of these little hanging swinging seats, which just looks so much fun. I just thought it was really cool and looked fun. And more plants out here. I just wanted it to be a kind of cozy outdoor space, because I think if you're living in an apartment like this, for me anyway, even if I didn't have outdoor space in the form of a garden, I would still want to be able to go outside. So that's us at the end of the video now. We're just going to move on to some screenshots. Thank you guys so much for watching, I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed the video, give it a big thumbs up and share it with your friends. Subscribe to my channel so that you can see my next videos, and make sure you ring that notification bell so you never miss another upload. Thank you for watching, bye!